and we did, and I was part of a team that went to London to disrupt the electricity grid in the southeast of England. The purpose of it was to cause financial and economic damage to the British economy. Came in, they put on ambush lights outside, blinding lights into the bedroom window. They fired tear gas through the windows. They blew the front door. They came up dressed in all the black gear, all the. So I did my 10 years, and it I didn't like being there, but I didn't cry about it. I just got on with it. So when I got out in '94, the ceasefire had just been called, and we didn't know really what was going on. Were we running rings around the Brits, or were the Brits running rings around us? That was the big question. But we were preparing to go back to war in case the ceasefire broke down, and we did. And I was part of a team that went to London to disrupt the electricity grid in the southeast of England. The purpose of it was to cause financial and economic damage to the British economy, for them being in Ireland. 25% of the gross domestic product of the UK is in the London area. But our main focus would be on the City of London. The financial heart would be like the Wall Street of London, was to put the power out there so that, for however length it would be, that, so that the business and financial and insurance and banking interests in London would say to the government, either sort this out or leave Ireland or do something, So it was just all part of the thing. But we were caught on that, and I deeply suspect an informer again. And
how long after
getting out? 20 months. I was only out for 20 months, and I was caught in London in active service. And me and I think there was 6 of us, and we were sentenced to 35 years in prison. So I got another 35 years on top of that. Now, I eventually got released under the Good Friday Agreement and all that, but we didn't know that at the time. Like, we didn't know when we went in for 35 years. Like, we thought we were going to do 35 years. So again,
that's effectively. I mean,
that's the rest of my life. I mean, I'd still be there now. I'm 65 now, and I would still be there if I was still there. I'm 65 now, and I wouldn't be out for another few years. So if I was still there, I would have been in jail since I was 27, and only 20 months out in all those years. Basically in almost 40 years, I'd have had 20 months out of prison. Yeah.
Was there okay? You got out. You were clearly interested in getting it going again. Were you worried at all? I mean, now you were like on paper as being someone who was definitely involved in the IRA. Yeah. You were caught red-handed with guns. Was there any worry that maybe now you'll be watched closely? Now they know my name and what I look like.
Oh, that did occur to me, but I mean, men had operated in England before who were known. England was a bit different. They didn't really know you in England. They would watch for you in Ireland if you disappeared. Like the Garda Special Branch and all would. Like, if you were a known Republican, you disappear, they would tell British intelligence, they would inform them, to keep an eye out for you and things like that. So it was difficult that way. But, if you went over to do an operation in England and you kept your security, you could probably, most people were able to do that and get home again. So, you just had to take that chance. See, you had the problem. It was a very complicated and sophisticated operation. So you had to have experienced men, if you used all clean skins, they could be inexperienced. They could give themselves away, or they could be, just the lack in an experience could cause problems. So look at, that's often said to me, but the way I look at it, it's real simple. Well, it's not simple, but the reality of it is, if you're engaged in resistance, if you don't want to get killed and you don't want to go to prison, don't join the IRA. And if you do get killed or you do go to prison, there's no point crying about it. You know what I mean? Nobody likes it, but that's the chance you have to take. And anybody who gets involved in something like that and is not, realizing the chances they're taking is a fool, and you really need to watch out for fools like that, because what they do then is when they get into the barracks and they realize, oh my God, I thought this was something else, they break and start telling, everything, so they try to save their own skins, you know. And so it's you know, it's just the reality. You know, it's just the reality. I mean, you know, you see movies and Jason Bourne and all these guys running around, and you know, they have screenwriters and script writers to get them out of trouble. You know, we had to deal with the real world and deal with the real reality and deal with human weaknesses, you know, and human frailties of people who want to save themselves, or and people who find out that their commitment didn't really dissolve as soon as they got to an interrogation cell. You know, but for the most part, I mean, all the boys I was caught with were strong, and everybody held up, and nobody broke, and you know, um,
So I'm
they were
sorry.
good
Okay,
lads.
so
Most IRA guys were good lads. They were good, brave lads. You know, the vast majority, and women.
uh, of course, yeah, and plenty, and there were plenty of women there too. Okay, so how many of you were over in London on this plot, and how long since you've been there were you eventually arrested?
Well, we were there was 6 of us. We came at staggered times, but I'd have been there roughly, oh, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 weeks, something like that. Yeah. But I believe an informer was involved in Ireland. The British intelligence services said that it was just through surveillance, which is possible. But the fact of the matter is, they never admit to an informer because they want to protect the informer. And the other thing is, there were certain things that came out during the trial, and just certain things that happened, that made me firmly believe that somebody had given them information. You know, so there was a high level infiltration of the IRA at a high level, because when you look at operations like the arms smuggling and operations in England, I mean, only people at a very high level know that's happening. Uh, and it's instructive that when I was in the IRA for 3 years in a particular area that had no informers, I was 3 years active, was never arrested, never had any problems, and was completely unknown to the security forces on both sides of the border. So, you know, when you don't have informers, you can do a lot.
How was it? How was it that you actually got caught? Like the moment they put their hands on you, we'll say.
Oh yeah, well, they I was about 2:30 in the morning. I was sleeping in a bed. I was sound asleep, and they just came in. They put on ambush lights outside, blinding lights into the bedroom window. They fired tear gas through the windows. They blew the front door. They came up dressed in all, you know, the black gear, all the, you know, the respirators, helmets.
The SAS, was it?
Well, I'd say they were SO19, but which was the armed response unit of the London Metropolitan Police. But it turns out that an awful lot of them were former SAS. But I thought they were SAS at the time, so that's what it looked like to me. And 1 or 2 shots have been fired. I think it might have been a negligent discharge. I don't know, but also because they were firing tear gas into the house. I actually thought they were going from bedroom to bedroom shooting my friends, and I was in the last bedroom, so I just reckoned we were getting a chop. I mean, I really thought we were all being shot. But I was arrested and just put into a white forensic suit and taken to Charing Cross Police Station and interrogated for 7 days, and charged with conspiracy to cause explosions. And a difficulty for the Crown Prosecution Service when we came to trial is there were no explosives. They didn't find any explosives or weapons or ammunition. They did find timer units for timing, but our defense was that we were going to do a hoax operation against the London grid. That we had 6 substations. We were going to put hoax devices on them so that the British would be forced to turn the power off themselves while they dealt with the devices. We didn't know how long the power would be off because we didn't know how long it would take the Brits to deal with it. Their contention was we were over there to blow them up, but we hadn't got our hands on explosives yet, and but we didn't have explosives. And an interesting thing too is their forensics couldn't find any trace of explosives on us. They can find a nanometer, which is 1/1000th of a meter of, say, septic explosive on somebody, and they found nothing on us, no forensics whatsoever. But the jury believed them, and we got 35 years. So.
I was going to say good luck getting sympathy from an English juror here.
Well, there wasn't there wasn't much hope. We knew we had no hope. We had no hope. Not a chance. You know.
During any of your interrogations, did they keep all the interrogation methods legal, or
Yeah,
they?
no, I have to say I got no physical abuse whatsoever. I didn't, I have to say I wouldn't. And even the arresting officers when we were arrested, they were firm, but they weren't gratuitously violent. I actually got more abuse from the Irish Navy and the guards when I was arresting them in hand than I got from the English. To be honest with you. No, I did definitely, and no, they, in fairness to them, they didn't put a finger on us. No, but you see, we were caught red-handed. Well, yeah, I mean, there was no explosives in that, but they had power units and that. And the other thing too was they'd had us under surveillance for several weeks. They had us casing some of the places and that, so they knew where we were going. So, I think there was something like 14,000 pages of evidence when we went to trial. An avalanche of, our houses were bugged, our cars were bugged. No, they were all over us. I'll give you an example. If one of us left the house, even to buy a loaf of bread, there would be 60 surveillance officers on one person. In
6-0, 16 or
60, 0, yeah, 60. 4 teams of 15. Each team had a mobile van with communications, secure communications. The van would have lots of clothes and glasses and wigs, so the surveillance team could constantly be changing. So we had the full resources of the UK state on us, definitely, on this operation. They were determined to. I've said before, what I really could never figure out is why didn't they let us go ahead and just shoot us at the substations? Because normally they would do that. They did that at Gibraltar. They did it at Loughgall. They did it many places, and to this day, I don't know why they didn't do that. The only I can only speculate. There's 2 things I speculate. One is that there was negotiations for a second ceasefire going on at the time that we knew nothing about, and maybe they didn't want to jeopardize that. I don't know. Another possibility I think is that I believe our houses were bugged. They denied the houses were bugged, but I know the houses were bugged, and we had started to notice surveillance on us or suspect very deeply that we were under surveillance. And we were actually discussing in one of the houses that maybe we should get all the guys to meet in the next day or two and discuss what has everybody seen, because there's something rotten here. They came in that night. So I think they thought if we all got together, and I believe that had we got together and had that meeting, we probably would have got the hell out of Dodge. Because it was very interesting that when we actually got the book of evidence and the surveillance logs from the intelligence services, that in every occasion that we suspected surveillance, we were correct. Because the surveillance logs would say the time, where it was, and everything. We were correct at every occasion. So we were deeply suspicious. I'll give you an example. Me and another fellow were coming off a tube, a subway. They call it the tube in London, and we saw 2 guys there doing surveillance, and everybody. They were in civilian clothes. The guy I saw was, remember, a blonde guy. He was carrying he was leaning against a bicycle and blue shorts on, very casual. But I just knew he was a cop, and I knew he was watching, not for a particular individual, but like he was searching faces. It's just an instinct you get. I knew it immediately. And when me and the other fella got out of the tube station, I said, "Did you see what I saw?" And he saw another cop doing the same. And we talked about it, and we kind of agreed it was surveillance. There's no question, but we couldn't be sure it was for us. There could have been a rape, there could have been a robbery, and they could have been looking for an individual. Now, it turned out later when we got the surveillance logs, they were looking for us, but we got by them that day. They didn't pick us out. They didn't recognize us.
You spotted them, but not the other way. Right.
We spotted them, but not the other way around. But at the end of the day, they did get us. But so we were very alert like that, But we still got caught. So yeah.
I was going to say just to hear what you were up against. I mean, a team of what, 6 had what, 60 per man?
Per man, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you went out, you had the full resource. I believe I later learned that there were up to maybe 2,000 intelligence and things, on it. Now they would have been, in different shifts and things like that. But no, they gave it the full resources of the state to to intercept us. But anyway, they
Can I
did.
ask?
We got 35 years. So
I see. I see. How long? Obviously, you didn't do the 35 years, thankfully.
yeah, of
How
course we
long?
didn't do it at the time.
Yeah. How long did you end up serving before you got out?
Yeah. Well, I did about 4.5 in that. So I did a total of 14 and a half years out of 48 years of sentences I was given. When I was in, I describe in the book too an incident where I was approached by the CIA to become an informer when I was in jail in England.